Hello, and thank you for joining me on this fourth episode of the Path of Self Knowledge podcast. The first three episodes were introductory in nature. Uh, Now we get now into essentials self knowledge, which is really quite a wide subject. There's a lot to learn, and it's a lot of joy, discovering things about ourselves, which we haven't known actually. Yeah. You see, the last episode I talked about the ego, how the ego gets formed. The ego is our sense of, you know, and in my case, I explained how it happened. Like I said, I was lucky, kind of, to be able to go back in memory and remember and see actually, and even relieve the feelings that I got when when my ego got crystallized. I like using that word because it's like the ego had been building up slowly by slowly until a certain event crystallizes the ego. Knowing the event, the exact point at which we lost our childhood innocence is very important. It gives the mind a foundation for connecting the dots. Once you know the foundation, then you can see the superstructure that you've erected on that foundation. So, if you're lucky to find that point in your life when you felt the sense of I, because it happens some years after birth, you know, something happens, an event, you know, where you feel selected kind of out of the rest. And that's the turning point. That's the point at which we eat from the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. That's the point at which we leave Eden. That's the point at which we leave our childhood innocence. And then now the struggle for living begins. The anxiety, the fear, the effort to live up to the ego image that has been created for us in our mind by the society, starting from our immediate family, then to school and stuff like that, you know. So if I could give an overall outline of the self-knowledge curriculum, if I can call it that, it would be the first thing is to determine the beginnings of the ego. That's now chapter one. That is laying the foundation. Okay, I can see this is where the foundation was laid in this lifetime, the foundation for my separate individual existence. That is that is very important. But if you cannot find that point, it's not a big problem because all of us have got an ego. You cannot escape the ego. It is part of the evolution of human consciousness. Then the second chapter would be to look at the point where awareness, we get the first glimpse of awareness. You see, that's where now we become aware that there is something more to me than the ego image that I've always tried to live up to all these years of my life. Now, between those 2 points is meaningless and conscious existence. We can only see that the period between the laying of the foundation of the ego, and the point where we first get awareness, where we awaken to our greater consciousness. Between those 2 points, we really cannot do anything about it. That's what I said. That's what I mean by the story of our life owning us. Just like we cannot remember anything before the ego comes. You see, between birth and kind of 3, 4 years, a lot happened. We had a name, we walked, we babbled something, we did things, but there was no central organizer to put those experiences together, to string them together actually. So that's why we have no memory. That's why we have no memory of that time. But then when the ego comes, the ego now becomes the central organizer. And then memory starts now becoming crystallized. Then you can remember things. Yes, I can remember when I was in class 2. I can remember what my father said to me. I can remember, this and this happened at this time because there was I. The I was already there to aggregate all the experiences that happened to us. Then now, after awareness, after the first glimpse of awareness, now that's when uh, it gets interesting because now we start unearthing the events of our life before awareness. You see, now start looking at our childhood, our teenage years. We start looking at our young adulthood as if we are outside of that, as if we are a different person looking at another person objectively. So that's the beauty of awareness. It brings understanding. With every new discovery, we feel some kind of liberation because now we can notice the patterns, we can understand them, we can connect the dots backwards and understand why this and this and this happened. And the frame of mind in which we were when those things happened. Now, that kind of understanding is the essence of self-knowledge, and it increases our self-awareness. It increases our self-awareness, and awareness brings a feeling of liberation and inner security and inner confidence. Because now we can connect cause and effect uh, directly. So there is so many things to understand, like how we formed beliefs, unconscious beliefs, how they get formed in early childhood, and how they keep on influencing our self-expression later in life. There's a lot to learn about our desires, you know, our needs, which were either gratified or were not gratified, and which maybe we have suppressed and which we keep running after. There is also a lot to unearth about our suppressed feelings which were not allowed to come out because at that time they were considered bad, they were considered dangerous for us. There's a lot to learn also about our relationships and how our experiences with our parents early in life influence our adult relationships. So self-knowledge is a bridge between self-consciousness and self-awareness. When the ego comes into being, we become self-conscious. That's why it brings with it some anxiety, some fear that we are different. That feeling of being different from the rest of the world, that feeling of being special uh, comes with it some pride and some fear. Pride and fear They are two sides of the same coin. And so that self-consciousness, builds up, you know, as we grow, as we develop, until find out who we are beyond the conditioned ego personality. So uh, that's the work. That is the objective of self-knowledge. And you say, without really self-knowledge, we cannot start living a spiritual life because we're simply not aware of ourselves. We don't know who we are. So self-knowledge is the prerequisite to spiritual living, which means the same as a loving life. We all want to give love and we all want to get love, but without self-awareness, love is not possible. So as we go through the curriculum, as we discuss different facets of self-knowledge, we also see the factors that keep us from being loving people and how we can overcome them and bring them to surface consciousness so that we can free the loving energy which is trapped inside of us. So in the coming episodes, I'll be picking particular topics to discuss, and then for every topic that we discuss, you'll get some insights about your life and what it means for you now. For some time, all this will be just be intellectual knowledge, just be accumulating uh, knowledge, through the mind. But the time will come when those seeds of intellectual knowing sink deeper into the heart, and then they sprout as emotional experience. That will come with time. So please subscribe and keep waiting for the upcoming episodes, which will be which will now get more interesting, as we discuss particular topics and aspects of self-knowledge. Thank you so much. God bless you. I'll see you in the next episode.